can only imagine if it was 100 pounds, but it makes me want to do some movements and training. This is amazing, a 40-pound vest. I can only imagine if it was 100 pounds, but it makes me want to do some movements and training.
The tradition before big fights. Another huge tradition before big fights is a face-off, and I've got the team checking the record. But I think you've broken the record today on longest face-off in boxing history.
You reckon?
I reckon. There was no mic between the two of you, and it looked like you were saying something to him, even with his headphones on. What were you telling Wilder?
Listening to some easy listening classical music. So yeah, I was just talking to him like I'm coming to get him and stuff like that. But I don't think he was listening. He wasn't even couldn't hear me anyway, even if he wanted to. But yeah, it was an intense little face-off, and I was quite happy with it because like he obviously wanted to stare down for a long time, and he felt the need to do that. But I felt like he was very uncomfortable while he was stood there, and he was a bit fidgety. His eyes were a bit glossy. And he wanted to get out of there, and that's why Malik Scott rescued him from the face-off, because Sugar Hill was there, and he was like, well, I know Tyson's going to be here for the rest of the evening. So, yeah. But it's crazy because he obviously wanted to do that stare-off thing for a long time, and then he just turned away and went away. So I think I've won another victory over him there. If he didn't want to do a long one and he wasn't going to look away first, because I knew his entourage saying, oh, D ain't going to look away, he's been here all night. All of a sudden he looks away and turns away, and it's like, oh, okay, I wasn't expecting that. I thought the security guards were going to get in front of us and move us apart, but it didn't happen. And after a minute or so, he looked away, and again, I just take it as another moral victory. Whether people want to admit it or not, or whatever it is, the fact of the matter, he went to the extent of doing that and then looking away, then it's a victory for the big GK again.
It's not unusual by the end of fight week for a fighter to not want to answer any more questions or feel that all the talking's been done, as he said today. But at a first press conference, I don't think I can recall something like that happening. What do you feel like that indicates about Wilder's mental position today?
Yeah, well, I thought it was the best thing that he could have done, to be fair. It was the best thing because he would have got questions of like, what were the excuses about, how was the suit and all that sort of stuff. So he did the best thing that was possible for him, not to get all those questions asked to him. And there was no other way of avoiding what was coming, because the media would have asked him all those things, like, tell us about the knuckle dusters he had, or the gloves that were on back to front, or the crossbows he had up his back, and whatever else he needed it to use. The water being drugged and everything else, the trainer being in my team and all stuff. So, and the suit being too heavy, and the fact that he was injured and whatever else, the water being drugged. So yeah, it was the only way of avoiding that, I'd say.
In the first...
So, just wrapping you guys up on a first part of an interview by Radio Raheem here and Tyson the Gypsy King Fury. Tyson stated, as you heard him say, that, hey, I won another moral victory in the face-off. And my counterpunch on that, I don't know about another moral victory. I know he beat Deontay Wilder on February 22nd. But he lost the outside court case, okay? So he lost the money pot. Because this is, I mean, I don't know how much they're getting. I don't know their fight purse or anything like that. I just know it's like 60-40. But he lost the big one, you know, and it could be egging both of their faces. You know, Wilder wouldn't give a shit because I don't think Wilder really cared about the money for third, you know, because I don't think Wilder's, if you're not accustomed to, if someone gives you $20 million and then versus someone you could have made $100 million, but you're not even used to $20 million, that's the difference. Okay, so to Wilder, it's like, dude, I'm rich, I'm good, I don't need all that shit, which I get that too, you know, because it's not all about money all the time. He wants to get his revenge back. But for Tyson Fury is worried about that money. He has had a taste of that money in the last year and the year before. So with the contract he signed with ESPN. Now, now the moral victory about the stare down, 6-minute stare down. First of all, that shit was crazy. 6 minutes. I don't think no one ever just held that long unless they were talking shit about each other. No two guys have sat there and really not got into an argument, some type of dialogue that got heated or intense, and therefore they were there. And the reason they were there on stage a long time because they were either getting separated or they couldn't keep their hands off each other or couldn't keep their hands to themselves, but in this case, these guys just stood there like. But then Wilder did turn around and walk off. I don't know what happened at that time, because like Wilder, like Fury said, hey, well, this was a situation where we thought Wilder was going to stay longer than he did, and that was both a long time. 6 minutes to stand there, dude. I don't like to stand nowhere for 6 minutes. Let's just be real. Right? But I think that is another victory, if you want to count his win over Deontay Wilder. I think that is another win. But so it's Fury, Wilder with the court case, then Fury again with the stare down, because who broke attention? That was Wilder. You know what I mean? But I mean, he just turned around and left. I mean, you could look at it like that. It's not a big deal. But at the end of the day, if who was the last person standing was Tyson Fury. And I heard some idiot say, oh, he brought a big bodyguard. That's his brother, dude. Geniuses. But anyway, that was talking crap at Deontay's homeboy, whatnot. And, but the second part of this interview I want to counterpunch is the fact that, like Tyson Fury said, it would be a lot of things that he had to, I think he stayed quiet because he knew the media was going to come at him with those accusations. That was really the main bulk of what was expected from the press conference yesterday. It wasn't the fact that, hey, I'm going to knock his head off, this, that, and the other. They're going to eventually fight. The main thing was all the shit that he was talking about since November to now. That's been said about from March to now. And if you let things fly, you let things be said about Tyson Fury, then you sign on with that. You have a lot of explaining to do. So, and I think he didn't say that because, like he said in his interview, okay, if you don't have proof, why are you going to say anything? Now, did Deontay Wilder say that in terms of talking about the Tyson Fury situation? Yes and no. And what I mean by that is, Wilder, the last thing Wilder wants to tell you is that, hey, I don't have any proof after I've told everybody I do. After my brother said, hey, he has proof by the doctor in his autopsy that he has a dent in his head, that it was something that was in the glove, that they can prove that it's something in the glove. He didn't have that to say. Now, did he say that? No, but what he was doing, he was applying that, okay, to his current situation. That's why it was relevant. He was taking something that happened 5-6 years ago. I think it was 5 years ago. That Povetkin situation to what he was talking about now. See, had he not meant or used that explanation for now, he would have said those things, because now does not apply to what happened back then. See, back then, as he said, well, we have no proof, and then since we had no, how did he put it? What's wrong? Since we had no proof, we're not going to go at it. Okay. That's also fair to say, since you had no proof, that's why you didn't say anything yesterday. See, only intelligent people will catch that. Now, he's not going to come out and say, we don't have any proof against Tyson Fury after talking all that shit on what he believes, because that goes against his belief. Believe it, receive it. So, you know what I'm saying? It goes against his belief. So he couldn't say that. But what he could say is, hey, we had no proof. We're not going to say anything. Basically, you're talking about two situations because you handled yesterday's conference as though you had no proof. That's why you didn't want to say anything, because that's what people were going to ask you. That's why he said, I'm through talking. You see what I mean? So there you go. His whole demeanor changed. You know, you could say maybe he didn't want to use it as a distraction. Maybe not, because he's focused on the training. As he said, he felt like taking a private jet and flying back home to get right back on the grind. So you could say that. But at the end of the day, what we expected was something that we didn't get. And the $1 million question is, why? I mean, why really? But anyway, you guys tell me what you think about Tyson Fury saying that he won another victory in the face-off. Tell me what you think. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.